Okay, chief meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside our meteorologist Gabe Maynor and Emily Leonard here. Severe thunderstorm warnings continuing for some parts of the area, including down here in Atala County. We're getting new information there out of Atala County about some of the storm damage in that area. I want to double check with Gabe. Is that the same thing Emily has? And I want to make sure that that is cleared for air. So I'm going to talk to Emily before I talk to Gabe. So Emily, I need you to stand up real quick here so we can talk for a moment here and find out a clarification on that. Trying to get you to stand up and get on
Right.
camera for a moment only.
I am standing up. I am. I can't see Gabe's
Okay.
photo very well from here. That's why I'm looking. Hold on.
Is it?
No,
Okay,
that's
that's
a
fine.
different picture. No, that's a different picture. It's a different picture. You
Okay,
can run,
give
Gabe.
us your information though.
Okay, so I spoke with an investigator down in Kosciuszko just a few minutes ago, got off the phone with him. And down at the courthouse, a giant tree has fallen over. They've also had some other tree damage around the area as that storm blew through some power lines. Right now, no injuries reported, but yeah, that tree that Gabe is about to show you did a little damage.
Okay, so obviously that's not a good situation. Appreciate Emily very much for again sharing with that. So let's talk to Gabe about the picture you've got there. Where's this at?
Yeah, a little might be an understatement, Emily, talking about the damage out there in Kosciuszko. The tree, unfortunately, it's always a matter of where the tree falls. And in this case, the tree right outside of the courthouse, you can see the courthouse right there on the square in Kosciuszko, breaking off there at the base due to the strong gusty winds and falling, unfortunately, on someone's truck. Now, based off what I can see there, it does look like everyone was okay, probably walking around the square. But unfortunately, the truck is going to have some cleanup. The tree getting lifted off of it. It does look, I was trying to see there in the distance if that's a crane potentially trying to drag that up so they can pull the truck out. But Matt, it's, trees fall. And we talk about trees falling all the time. It falls across a road or it falls in a yard. And, you always look at that and it's like, oh, praise God, it didn't fall that way. Well, in this case, unfortunately, it did fall the wrong way and did end up on someone's vehicle.
Absolutely, unfortunately, with that. We'll talk to you. I'll have you over on Chroma here in a minute, and we'll do some tracking on this as well. But as we bring it back in here again, that was about 440-ish. I think, excuse me, we're at 540. It's about 420-ish, I believe. Well, might as well just click the graphic here. Show you the exact time right there. That had been 422. So we do have a current severe thunderstorm warning in effect there for Atala County until 6:15. Another one, again, southern Atala County until 5:45. I'm interested to see whether or not they choose to extend that because that storm near Joseph and Bolatusha is trying to expand southward there. And then additional thunderstorms that are down south of Carthage and close to Walnut Grove there and expanding down south there toward Philadelphia. Gabe, unfortunately, we continue to have, I think we'll have some of these thunderstorms we're tracking for a bit longer, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, the night. Oh, there we go. Mic's on now. Sorry, we're navigating some things here behind the scenes. Caleb's going to continue to monitor some of your reports, so continue to send in those pictures on the Mississippi Live weather app, and also navigating those power outages because, as Matt mentioned, more storms are happening, which means more lightning strikes, which means, unfortunately, more power outages are possible. Now, something we've done is click off of lightning strikes, and I think we can pop that up for a brief moment, but it just gets to where it's hard to see the heart of these storms, and so you can't really look into it or dissect it like you can whenever the lightning is off. So don't think there's no lightning happening. We just don't have it on there because it's hard to see beyond those strikes. So as we pop those off, once again, you can see how we have plenty of lightning to deal with. I'm going to start north and work my way south. So as we look more towards Atala County, a lot of these storms following that cyclical pattern, unfortunately. And while cleanup crews are there at the square in Kosciuszko, they're dealing with rainfall. So probably going to let that pass, unfortunately, before they can really do those cleanup efforts. As yes, there is a tree down on a vehicle in the square, more surrounding trees down in the area as well. So that severe thunderstorm warning still seeing impacts, and any more of those gusty winds could unfortunately result in some additional damage. So as we see, I want to look at the True Shield Roofing hail swath because we do have some limited potential there. Yeah, those building in those last couple of scans. And as we look at the wind, I'm not overly impressed, but as Matt has been mentioning, the downburst potential with these storms, we saw it at Mississippi State, we saw it in Houston, and we're seeing it once again in different locations, and that's there with a few of these storms as well as those tops continue to climb. And speaking of tops, let's look at those storm tops up to 50,000 feet in Hesterville. I say this, and I wish you guys had a voice in the chat to where you could say, Gabe, move. And I would. But sometimes just got to look up to see the positioning. But Hesterville, seeing some of those tops get up to about 50,000 feet there. Hey, there's your voice right there. But as those storms do climb, Matt says it, what goes up must come down, and eventually it will, and it will provide some of those gusty winds as well. Outflow boundary. Yeah, outflow boundary has been the story today, driving these thunderstorm chances, and more as we get into the southern portion of our viewing area, actually into our max south coverage area. That one near Neshoba County, now moving into Newton County, is one to monitor because it does have a little bit more of a defined course. So as we pull it up through our Jackson radar site, got quite a bit of outflows. And let me tell you why each outflow matters. So you have your main outflow there. And I'm going to take this full screen here so that way we can look at this more on a larger scale. So as we see this outflow out ahead of this main storm, you can see how that has really sparked these storms over there south to Philadelphia towards Neshoba County, now trying to move into Newton County. That's what's allowed this to strengthen. But why it's continuing to strengthen is because this storm near Walnut Grove that developed put out another outflow boundary, that rain-cooled air. And that's wrapping around that ring right around the storm. And that ring is unfortunately going directly into this storm right along Highway 15 south to Philadelphia. So that's the one that I would say we need to pay attention to because it has that direct line to energy and potentially increasing in strength. Whereas Walnut Grove, while it looked impressive a little bit earlier on, that has since dissipated out and it's not looking nearly as impressive. And if we put lightning on there, which I think would be worth our while to do so, we can see that that has probably come up as well. Yeah, we're up to 400 strikes over those last couple of scans and really increasing south to Philadelphia. So unfortunately, power outages there in Neshoba County. And Caleb, we do have a tab for that. So do you see numbers adding to what we've already seen?
For the Neshoba?
For Neshoba? Okay. You were just on it a second ago.
This one?
Not that one. That one's Natchez Trace EPA, the tab you were just on. I'll give you a second to pull that up there behind the scenes. But as we look at it moving into Newton County, that Barfoot area is one to monitor. It's not a ton of movement to it. So we're looking right over Golden Grove along Highway 15. This would be closer to Union. While it did have a little bit of a core earlier on, this might have already peaked in intensity, but at least those echo tops still telling us that this is a pretty tall storm near Golden Grove, 50,000 feet, and the potential for some strong winds to come out of this one as well. Speaking of winds, we put on that wind mode. Barfoot, watch right there how we get right along that outflow boundary, some brighter green showing up, and that's while showing aloft about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Down at the surface, that brief spurt of strong wind, 50, 60 miles an hour, that's where it can be impactful. So if this one starts to collapse, well, then we'll see some of those reports potentially coming in. Speaking of reports, our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut, he joins us with the latest on power outages. Caleb, these numbers continue to pile in there towards Neshoba County, now towards Newton County. What do you have for us as of the very latest?
Well, unfortunately, it's exactly that. We're dealing with these outages just continuing to climb as these thunderstorms continue building up on its strength, going up, and then, of course, falling down, and that's where the severe weather always occurs. And so we're dealing with those numbers continuing to climb. In fact, you'll kind of see that kind of briefly refreshed as these are updated pretty much every minute. So seeing quite a few numbers out there getting closer towards Philadelphia.